right, we're here with big guys from Audiopipe. We got J-Rod in the house, John and Frank, and we're gonna go check out Warehouse 2 and go see the Audiopipe amp that by the time you're watching this will be on tonight with a little dyno action. Today is Audiopipe Day. Hey, at the end of this video, you're gonna see how you can win this given us by Audiopipe. That is a full system, 212s and an amp with an amp kit. You gotta watch till the end of the video. Come on, let's go fix it. Beep, beep, beep. Here I can at least go up 3 tall. I can't even do that over there. So we parked the Yukon here too. Golf cart. I brought one of the tall steps over. We got a small step. And then we have the forklift over there. The Great White Hope forklift, that's what I call it. Yeah. And then we have the walkie stacker somewhere here. Should be, oh, it's down there. Should be plugged in now. Okay, there's all the pipe stuff. So as you can see, it's kind of filled, but there's still some room. And then obviously, if I had to go past that, we have all this room over here. Okay, here is the Big Jeff hangout. You guys are actually going to put a house in here. Wow. That's cool, right? So what we have here is for unboxing, and we set up the cameras right here with the lighting, not even doing like a green screen. The background looks nice, and then we have some product usually set up there. And then this rack here will be other products that we'll be doing. And then over here, this first side is hooked up computer with SMD, and I also have a DATS where I can get the whole FS, all the different specs for the woofer, compare it to a manufacturer. And then I went even as far to get a nice FLIR. So we even use that on the video where you can take snapshots. We took a little hit though, with Parker's video with the paint crack.
Been bumping these things around here for a few days. Notice I've got all these little like stress marks all over them. I don't know, that's kind of odd. I don't know if it's been like super cold here. I don't know if that's, if the cold and with the moving has done it or what. So, no, it's not a bad thing, but actually it looks kind of cool. But yeah, it's got all these little teeny stress marks.
Yeah, J-Rod was talking about that. He was saying about that. J-Rod, we were talking about that Parker's video.
Yeah.
When the paint was cracking.
Yeah.
The kind of the thought process of what that was about.
I don't think we really got a negative review, but it was an issue, that people know. Because at the end, he blows them up. He tries to do a torture test.
One thing I did see was he's using like a 12,000 watt amplifier on them. I mean,
no, that's what I'm saying.
He's accustomed to like big woofers, and this is not necessarily a.
No, he tests all of it. At the end, it's how long will it take. The RMS rating is what he does. Most speakers don't make it, honestly, because they can't go 5 minutes.
So he was breaking it in.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but I don't think that had anything to do with the paint.
I mean,
You think so?
yeah. Basically, the heating coil. That's all aluminum. So because it is aluminum, it's sucking the heat from the coil onto the cone.
Some people have started comments that it happened during clips. So.
I mean,
Just that the eye candy's bright. I don't think that hurt anything. Like where people are like, oh no, I'm not gonna buy it.
Yeah, I was more concerned with the gasket. I had to take it out. That was kind of like a downer first time I
The
saw
gasket.
that. Yeah, you can get So, but yeah, I mean, you know, if you're accustomed to hearing this, and then you kind of downgrade to wimpy, like, you know, this is my everyday stuff, but I'm gonna try these out. I mean, I guess I was impressed that it lasted.
But that was the
You know,
that was the end result. That
that's
it took,
right.
yeah.
So
I mean,
That actually makes it look good. That's why I said the only thing down I took from it was the cracking
yeah,
and the clear coat or whatever.
yeah. To me,
I think it
definitely the temperature.
Yeah, I think it took to be at that RMS rating consistent. Most workers don't, unless you have like a
I think
8-layer coil. You know what I'm saying? That
right.
yeah, they don't. And then that's part of this thing is to take it to the point of no return to cut it off.
And I do think the paint handling temperature is not equivalent to what the actual home has.
So you're recording right now. We can use it. So you think that if it wasn't broken with like a gazillion watt amp
Right.
and done at the RMS and peak
Yeah.
rating,
Factoring a little bit the weather,
right?
cold, then you go hot.
No, I agree with you, 100%.
Yeah. But again, I was happy with the result.
Right, I'm more happy with because, like I said, to take that consistent for that period of time. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Because most cars are not going to have a consistent tone for that period of time. It's
Right.
it's
Very-
out.
very-
So
Yeah, the
I
whole
like
point of
that.
the video
I
is-
like that he does that at the end of every woofer because you're spending under $200 and you got something that can handle that type of consistent, you know what I'm saying, power. That tells you that it's and it didn't even like really blow it in. It just started to get to that point. Meaning if it was used normally,
It would never
it
happen.
would never
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I said this morning our coils are rated at like 220 degrees Fahrenheit. So it can handle something.
Right. Well, if Parker's watching this, still like the test, but maybe you should incorporate a, how you say, is it Fleur? Is it Fleur?
Sure.
Parker, you should incorporate a Fleur and actually check the heat because like we're saying, if you're really trying to gauge a speaker and price and ratings, and if you have something that is rated at 220 and you get it up to 400 degrees, you're going to expect failure. But great test still. But how nobody's going to be in their car playing a 40 hertz test tone for 5 minutes. Just wouldn't be. But
I mean, I love that you abused the I'm really happy.
what I'd like to see, and we'll do it here, because I'm still going to put that in there and run it free air at a normal volume, like, you know, normal 600 watts or whatever the rating is. And you're going to avoid the warranty strips.
Yeah.
I already did. And while you're all watching this, we use this amp to basically get this thing set up. I can tell you we hit this with the dummy loads, I'm not going to say 50 times, but 49 times. And the amp's still kicking. Hasn't even, never even went into protest. Not once.
Good.
Yep. In fact, the reality is, it never really went over 120 degrees. Now, granted, I do the hit, it sits, and I do it again. But when you're doing a static 1 ohm, right, and taking up the clipping, the amp taken from the field.
For sure.
Right. So I can tell you on this amp, you got it, sir? Or you want another phone?
No, I got it.
Here, get a close up, whatever it is. Here, put it up. No.
No, actually, I mean, you were trying to make an effort
Yeah,
to learn amplifiers and something that I
Did
meant
you get
to.
to see that we used your drawing and everything?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I
It
mean,
worked out nice.
I
That actually got over 11,000 views.
I got some popcorn. I sat there and I actually thought I was on the wrong channel because I started seeing like some cartoon stuff.
Shut up.
But no, honestly, something that was important that I really wanted to convey to you, but I didn't get a chance, is our toroids. Now, you see that it has this yellow tape, and they're strapped, and it has the glue. So actually, because our amplifiers are upside down, and it's by design, so we know that the heat rises up. So we mount them upside down, but these toroids, they actually oscillate. And what happens is the wires, they start kind of stripping, and that causes a short. Jeff, you're not checking this out, man. This is all for you. I want you to learn,
to
bro.
help out our viewers.
I want you to learn
We're
too,
gonna
man.
want to give our viewers some light.
Uh,
We're gonna hook them up. We don't want-
yeah. We're
How's
live.
that? Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is actually something that we started, and now we have other manufacturers following this standard. So we kind of created a standard where we're double dipping the toroid, we're adding the yellow tape, we're strapping it down. You mentioned that part, and we're adding the
Just
glue.
vibration.
It's all for the
Yeah.
vibration. And the epoxy on there, once it starts vibrating, the distance short. I mean, it's a meltdown that's happening. Smoke.
Make sure you watch till the end of the video so you can learn how to enter to win this. Free 2 subwoofers, a box amp, and amps kit. Watch till the end of the video.
Smoke, fire. Something else that I think there's a misconception out there is that guys think that if this wire touches here, it melts the wire and it causes a short. That's not the case. What it is the case is that when the MOSFET blows, sometimes, the MOSFET is switching continuously thousands of times per second. So when one of these blow, usually it'll blow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row. So that blow is so hot that it melts this heatsink because it's aluminum. So it'll melt it, and sometimes it melts right through the wire. But it's not that this wire touches here and it causes a short.
Why do they use the wire instead of just a straight copper run?
We think that the transfer is better over a bus bar through the wire. And this is actually just speaker wire output. This is not power per se. The power is on this side. But for speaker power output, because it's audio and you have the sine wave and it's actually, again, oscillating, it's better to go with wire.
Now,
This is 100% copper wire we sent to the factory from our other factory. This is our 100% copper wire.
Now, is there a difference in capacitors that are used in manufacturing?
With capacitors, usually we kind of we go higher than what the voltage is needed because it's always better to have a little bit more. It helps with it not swelling. So we try to use grade A capacitors. We never try to do B or C. Because at the end, most of the parts in here, what starts to affect its temperature. Once the temperature rises, you start to lose that tolerance. So you kind of overspec certain parts. So you factor in that heat effect, the tolerance effect. With heat, you lose power. So, that's why if you were able to check this amplifier cold, you might get one reading. But if you play for 15 minutes and you try it again, you may get a different rating.
Right.
Because the moment you start having heat, your tolerance starts reducing.
Now, I know some people say they can tell by looking at the guts how big of an amp it is, not by the size, by the guts. So, what are we looking for to tell that that's a 1500 watt amp?
It's definitely the amount of MOSFETs.
Okay.
Yeah, because each MOSFET is a certain amount of wattage, and they're all parallel together or joined together to give you that maximum output.
Gotcha. And then I guess the question I've always had is why, even at a 1500 watt amp, for fusing, why is it kind of built that they would need to fuse themselves? Is there a reason there?
I think because when you have the onboard fuse, you tend to heat the board more. You tend to the solder sometimes shifts, so it's better to fuse outside, not on board.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I mean, now that we have it open, even for our guys, so on our APXL, on our APMQ, and the next generation of this amp. So, in your video, you show that, audio is processed here and then it comes into the audio part of the amplifier. So on our new design, what we're doing is we're integrating basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 components into one IC. So what that's going to do is it's going to eliminate failure from any given component. It is going to eliminate the effect of the heat tolerance on the part, and it's going to be all controlled by one single IC. So it's gonna keep the amplifier cooler. So, it's gonna keep it more efficient. And that's something positive that we've done in the other lines, and we're looking forward to doing the same here.
Now, is this considered the Brazilian amplifier?
No, this is still class D.
Okay.
The Brazilian is a class, they call it the full bridge. That's why Brazilian amps can master, slave, or strat too, because it's already master slave inside, or is already strapped inside. Whereas these, you can get a second one and run them together as one.
So let me ask you this, and that's why you have the in and out, but and then you would have to run it at 2 ohm.
Correct. You have to run it at 2 ohm.
Correct.
Yeah.
To get
Because
the
basically one is providing one half of the sine wave, the other one is providing the other half of the sine wave to give you the full cycle.
Now, this question comes up all the time, especially with all the full bridge amps out there.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what is the biggest difference between a full bridge and a half bridge amp? It's a big question because you have so many amps that have come down, even like the Marks Digital we sell and others. Amps that they're not,
It's just that. It's like it's already strapped inside the full bridge.
So you potentially get more power.
You get more power, but it's more raw power. Personally, I still prefer a Class D, but a full bridge has gone to the point where it seems that per dollar you're getting more power. It's actually more raw power.
What about the quality or?
I think it's a lot.
Great question.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot less in my opinion.
I'm gonna tell you,
more distorted. I think guys don't know how to work with that amount of power and actually clean it off.
Well, that too, and then having the electric system
behind it. So
that's your
it becomes more affordable, but it's almost like you don't know what to do with it. You put like a 12-cylinder in a Corolla.
I had a customer who was like 8 months of the year. Hey, this is a long video. There's a lot of cool stuff you're learning. We got to really sit down with the guys from Audiopipe to break down their product. But you got to watch to the end if you want to win this. Keep watching. I know it's a little bit long, but there's a ton of information in there. And at the end of the video, I'll tell you how you can win this. You want? I had a customer who was 8 months, amp was up, bitching, obviously. He's like, I didn't do anything wrong. And I'm like, well, it has nothing to do if you did something wrong or not. Warranty is a warranty. But I can tell you it's not going to be a manufacturer defect. And I think that's where you're trying to go with. Like, that would happen right away. But what people don't realize, even though you had it set and great 8 months ago, vibration, your alternator, your batteries were down, a lot changes.
Yeah.
That if you don't go back in there and retune it, in a sense, find that clipping, the amp is gonna change monthly, really. I think.
I think a common mistake guys make also is like, they'll upgrade part of the power, but they won't do the ground, something you mentioned in your video. They don't take that extra step that, hey, if you use a 4 gauge on the power, you use a 4 gauge on the ground. But you should use the 4 gauge on, a 0 gauge or whatever on your alternator. You should do the same thing, alternator to body. There's like so many other points that guys skip.
It's crazy too because people do like the big 3 and big 4 now, and some of them think like it's going to change the world, right?
Yeah.
But then you have other people that don't realize that they need to upgrade the alternator ground and the power going to the battery because you want to keep everything the same. You're not going to run a 0 gauge wire to an amplifier and then have 4 gauge under the hoods.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about longevity, you're talking about quality.
But also talk a little about what you're putting into the subwoofer.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about?
What do you mean?
Well, the Brazilian amp,
I mean,
it's pumping out AC voltage.
Pretty much, Brazilian amp, you're taking 12 volts.
So the first time, no lie, I've ever got really shocked was on a Stetson amp.
Right.
And I remember getting shocked because it scared the living piss out of me.
Oh, yeah.
It was in my F-150. I forgot what I was touching and my knee hit the chassis. And I fucking, what the fuck, right? And never experienced that years ago because you didn't have those type of things.
Right.
I don't think people realize. Everybody, still even right now, car amp or car amp, whatever you want to call it, they're selling them so cheap, right? And it is, for your money, but it's such shitty power that
It's a subwoofer destroyer.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. It's what helping.
But you can go get a 5,000 watt amp for $250 right now. Yeah. But then I think a lot of people are equating current with a full bridge type setup, and I'm not really sure why. Where were you last night at 9
You know, something I can tell you, and I think Parker's video actually proves it, is something we said today in our sales meeting we were at before. I go through a lot of our returns, and per se, our subs are not blown. What I find is they're exceeding the mechanical limitation of the subwoofer to the point that it fails. Either you have over excursion, either you're cooking the coil, but you're not blowing the sub per se. It's just
Right. Tearing it up.
Yeah, mechanically.
Well, you get the friends I know more and I can readjust it. Or I think the biggest thing when I was on the retail side, you're going to get used to your system. It's going to start to sound not as loud. And your first instinct is to turn it up, which in the long run is not the way. And then I think too, people don't realize that you have to kind of re-inspect your electrical system, because what it's doing now, it's not going to be doing that down the road. Or now, especially too with all this lithium, you don't keep the lithium maintenance and condition and charge there so often to kind of get it.
Yeah.
It's going to make a difference.
If you have a shiny terminal and like
Oh, yeah.
3 months later you see it's changing
Yeah,
color and
blue,
becoming gold.
Aqua.
Same thing's happening to your wire at the very tip. So all of that is creating
Right.
like resistance for power to actually flow.
You know what? Talking about that would be a great thing to do. Videos on maintenance,
Yeah.
because I don't think people really talk about it. And there should be people that are really in this industry, the ones that will fight to the end over it. They need to be maintaining their equipment. The corrosion. I mean, cleaning off, like I said, just terminals, I think makes a huge deal.
You buy a $500 amp and then you buy a $20 aluminum CCA cable. I mean, you know, you spend that much money on that amp, might as well buy that copper kit.
Yeah.
You know? So that's another.
Well, I mean, yeah, because if you double the size with the aluminum mix, that would work, but the corrosion.
Yeah.
And what people aren't going to notice is it starts to, it goes in it. Yeah, it starts to grow.
There's a reason the copper is more expensive.
Yeah.
It lasts longer, better quality. It's going to keep your system running cleaner longer. So, if you, like you said, if you're going to spend $500 on the system,
I was at
an amp rather buy a cable.
in the mirror show and I sat in on Wayne Harris. He did a really good training per se, and it was just how to say your gains. And the first thing he started was setting the gain, or setting the gain on the radio. You know, he uses an oscilloscope, a portable one, connects it to the back of the radio. He starts going to the volume to the point where you see that wave start to square off. Wherever that wave starts to square off, dial it back to time. So let's say he was at 41, that was where that wave started to distort. That means you would set it at 39 or 38. That's it. That should be your max
Do
level.
you think that changes over time in the radio?
It could, depending on the voltage.
I got to think just vibration too.
Well, it's just audio output.
Right.
So it's signal output.
Right, but I'm
But
saying
it's all
it's like on
relevant
the
to
amplifiers and the potentiometers, vibration's going to move them a little bit. And sometimes it is just a hair to get it tuned in right.
Nah, I think we're too much into the future.
You think
It's
so?
all ICs. It's, you know.
So SMD, give a shout out to Steve. They have the DD1, which you can do an RCA, or you can put an attachment for 2 points to do speaker. And they make it so they have the DD1 and DD1 Plus. The Plus can actually allow you to tune your system with like a dB minus or gain. So if you're tuning it like the subs, the fronts and the rears, and say you wanted the fronts to be a higher, like a 2 gain compared to the rear, you can do that with, I might even have yeah. So that's a DD1 Plus. So in here you actually have you ever used these?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these are great things. They're pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Getting yourself some of these, hopefully at bigjeffaudio.com. But you can go ahead and kind of master your own system. And I think going in there and checking it every couple of months would be part of the maintenance.
Yeah. I think a lot of guys, they worry about tuning the amp, but they skip the EQ, they skip the crossover, they skip the head unit. And I mean, that's what's generating your audio signal.
Well, let's talk about Audiopipe in this particular model. Does it matter if they have 2 volts or 4 volts?
Yes and no, because the amplifier is just going to take what it needs. You know, it's not going to take more than what you're giving. So it does matter when you're routing the signal from the head unit to the back of the car.
Right, what I'm saying is don't amps. And let me throw this in because I always forget this. These amps are good to go 16 volts. Right. Now, not many of you are going to probably use a 1500 watt amp with a electrical system at 16 volts, but the rest of them also do it. So most amps are rated at 14.8 or 13, and most even a lot of your LiPo 4 batteries are basically under 15 volts, like 14.8. But some amps are so sensitive. I've seen them that if you're real close to 15, they'll go into protest.
Specifically the Brazilian
amps.
Yeah, that's their downside.
Right.
Is they are very sensitive at the input.
So what has to be done to make it okay to 16 volts?
Well, the 16 volts is just the power.
Right. I'm saying what it has to be done for those Audiopipe amps to accept 16 volts going into it.
The capacitor.
The capacitor.
Our capacitor. Yeah. The voltage.
If we run a higher voltage in the system, we have with their drop takes longer, so we can get more out of it. Right. So people want to run more and more a higher starting voltage out of their alternators.
Correct.
Right. Most amps we're talking about, you get to that 15 mark, they'll just go on the propane. Right. These won't. And then let's talk about a couple things here. Frank, you grabbed that box. So I noticed, and I've seen a lot of these old school, you have the CEA that I ask at all these ratings. Right. Does that shit mean anything anymore or what?
I guess it does to us.
Yeah.
You know, 100%. Because it's the industry that we all grew up in and we support it, and they're out there educating us. So we definitely want to represent the hard work that they've done in order for us to enjoy our audio.
Well, isn't one of these actually what they use, like the actual power rating? Using that, wouldn't that used to be like CA 2000?
Right. The NEMA, that used to be the NEMA 2000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I think now there's a new version of it. So it's still around, but back then when we wanted to get in and we wanted to be compared to the tier 1 amplifiers, we decided that, you know, we were gonna follow that rating, and ever since that's all we do. Every time we rate our amplifiers, we still follow that original protocol.
And this particular model, how long have these been around? The AP CLE?
I mean, because we sell to such broad markets, we're continuously learning about what's happening in the field, and we're incorporating into the board. So the boards over the years have gone through modifications, but it's still that same old school Class E, Class AB technology. We haven't changed that part of it.
I'll give you one of the inputs we get. Nice metal bass knob, but everybody hates the old school 3.5 jack.
Yeah.
And I know it's super special. Most people don't even use the bass knob, but
I don't know the full detail of it, but what I can tell you is that the 3.5 where it taps into the signal is different from where the phone jack taps into the signal.
Okay.
So this is tapping into the signal at a point that it's not affecting the performance of the amplifier. You know, it's not really doing anything on the amplifier side. I believe the one on the phone jack, it does. I'm just not 100% clear on that detail, but that's why we kept it like this. And then, like you said in your video, a lot of guys use the bigger one, or you got multiple amplifiers.
Yeah.
So, and I can tell you, the defective ratio on this particular one is like almost 0. Whereas the one with the phone jack,
which makes a big difference.
You get a lot of people replacing them because of wires, telephone wires, really thin, and here everything is mobile.
Right.
So it's all one piece.
I think the other thing we talked about in my video, the unboxing, but a lot of companies don't do that. They're not putting a nice water-resistant A&L fuse holder
we're trying
inside
to tell
a $300 amp.
We're trying to tell you the right way to do it, you know.
Right.
But obviously we can't do it for you, so
Right.
at least equip you what you probably need.
Well, what I'm saying is they're getting not a budget amp, but not a Korean board priced amp, but they're getting things like this that I think your average price online or somebody to buy one of these with you is like between $20 and $30. Right. So when you take that in consideration, that comes with it. You gotta kind of counter that into the price.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
So we made it a point to mention that. You mentioned the Tiffany jack.
Yeah.
That's not something you see on a so-called.
No, and those are the things that people I think have just got trained to go to these days. Tiffany style RCAs, definitely, plastic or metal potentiometer, and the bass knobs. I think it's just like a standard everybody goes to, which I think is stupid because they're saying if you don't have that, damn stupid. Right. But at the same time, then they're bitching about the price. Yes. Right? You can't have both world, right? I can tell you all that I've really beat on the amp multiple times at clipping. And I've had it as high as 14 chains and then wasn't even paying attention because I had the power supplies off and she was running at 12. And it took, what do they say? It takes a beating. What was the old Timex commercial? Takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Something like that, remember? Right? Which is really cool. I think what I'm going to do is send this one off to Hi-Fi Vector. Yeah. Let him, we're going to do a couple more full tests and we're going to do it at different homes. And then I would probably just send this off to him. He really gets into breaking it down. But this was in a collaboration with the 1500 watt amp, the Eye Candy subwoofer. Parker put it through some hell. How long did it go? It was over 3 minutes. I know that. It was a pretty long time. Right before it started to smoke. He had it at 40 hertz. Obviously, I think the rating is 600, but we could see the SMD. It was in the 7s most of the time, and it took it all the way to the end, which is really cool for that woofer. Talking with them, you heard us bring up about what looked to be cracking on. You want to grab that there, J-Ron? Yeah. I don't think it's actually.
This is about it.
Right. You can see I've used it, and I don't have any crack lacking. But we're gonna do that hopefully next weekend, and put it in the cradle and get it flexing with some really low tones to get that extension, and then higher tones and see what happens. But like we're talking about breaking a sub in, keeping in mind, especially up there in Tennessee being 20 degrees and then getting it hot. The coil is rated to 220. So everything has a limit. I used to tell customers, if you have a car, it'll do 150 miles an hour. But for how long? Exactly. Right? Even brand new. Right? How long before it just seizes up? Right? That's the same thing on the car. But what we can tell is for the mid-level price, in my opinion, you're getting nice equipment that's going to take some abuse, and it'll do the power. Like I said, I got it at about 17, just clipping with the SMD. We're going to do some more tests before I send it off to Mr. Hi-Fi Vector, and we'll get some flex tests going. We got to actually talk about the amp and break down. Definitely leave some comments on the video. If you have any more questions, we'll try to get you answers. Taking apart amps and that, I'm learning right now on what really makes them go. I have the basic ideas, but now understanding what it really takes is really cool. But looking at that there, it's definitely not put together cheap. That I think anybody would agree with. We got Mr. J-Rod here, and what is your title anymore? What's your title?
I'm not more than I'm not anymore.
We have Frank, who's operational manager.
That's right.
He's got top, and then John here. wears multiple hats. But so you're pretty much the salesman for the whole technically.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's him.
Also clean cards.
Yeah.
You know,
We have some players that would like cry if they were asked to maybe help to clean up their own shit. But anyway, these two I've known since I was a youngster and got a lot of memories, and nice to work with the equipment again. But we'll be doing more stuff like this. Hopefully get them back on the podcast again so you all can ask questions, but definitely leave your comments. And I will look into getting you answers, or hopefully J-Rod will log in and see the video. You'll have this one before this. We'll be launching some dyno testing on this, and we have up already the unboxing for this amp and the Eye Candy woofer. Check those out. And until next time, I'm Big Jeff signing off. Okay, now that you made it to the end of the video, this is how you can win.
Right.
1, you need to comment your name, location, and why you should win. And then you just have to share this on your social media. So if you're watching this video on Facebook, share it on Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that share button at the bottom. It'll give you a link. Go post that on your Facebook. That's all you gotta do is comment on the video and share it on your Facebook or social media. Simple. And then we will pick out a winner who's going to get the box, the 2 subs, the amp, and an amp kit, all given to you from Bigjeffaudio and Audiopipe.